Johnny Bravo is a face we all recognize, but a character that is misunderstood. By modern standards, he's everything that red and black pillars tell us to be. He's a tall, straight, assertive alpha male with blonde hair. The ladies should be all over him, right? Well, not necessarily. Let's find out why. In the episode, It's Valentine's Day, Johnny Bravo, we get to see Johnny doing his morning routine, which consists of him posing, grooming, using dozens of hair gel, talking to himself, and looking in every mirror. He's especially hyped up because not only is it Valentine's Day, it's his birthday. Johnny can't wait to find a lady that needs a date. We meet his mother, who is laid out on the table after a long night, instead of making Johnny breakfast like he expected. Mama Bravo forgets his birthday, but did hook him up with a blind date. You'd think he'd be ecstatic, but he's not interested in his mom's selection because she admires women who have personality.
Oh, honey, speaking of how divine I am, I've set you up on a blind date for tonight.
You what? Oh, Mama, you know I hate your taste in women. You're a chick. You go for personality.
Johnny heads to the library to harass some women and tries to teach us how to be like him. He spits a few trash pickup lines which come off too strong and thirsty. Johnny tells us to stay persistent and decides to go hit on some foreign women because allegedly they love big buff American men. He's this close to becoming a passport bro. He even tries to get a cute new dog to impress women, but the shelter only has donkeys. This doesn't go as planned and he gets kicked straight to church. I think he should have stayed there. Now he tells us that dating is a numbers game, so he hits on every woman he sees. How do you think that went for him? He runs into the woman his mom set up for him and they like each other immediately. Donny Osmond, who's the main antagonist of the show, tries to give Johnny love advice, which is actually pretty solid. Osmond tells Johnny that women don't care how much he can bench, don't want to be called chicks, and that to have a healthy relationship, he needs to be himself and get to know the lady on a personal level. We're introduced to his blind date, Heather, who appears to be a mirror of Johnny, and we know Johnny loves mirrors. She does karate moves and wants to talk about Johnny all day. He's in heaven. A creepy condescending man tries to hit on Heather and she rejects him. Then Johnny jinxes him to save Heather from the weirdo. Heather sees this act as chivalrous and actually remembers Johnny's birthday. She's really rizzing him up and Johnny can't get enough. He asks her on a date. They pump iron, frolic in the park, pose, take silly pictures, and share intimate moments. The two have a blast and Heather tries to reveal her secret to Johnny, who's scared that she's not actually his dream woman, but is interrupted by ninjas. Heather reveals she's a spy and hits Johnny with a move that will make him forget she ever even existed, because the two can't be together due to her career. Johnny wakes up and feels as though he's lost a piece of him and wishes he could remember what he did today. He goes back home and is surprised with a birthday party. Mama Bravo asks him how his day with Heather went, but obviously, he can't remember. Heather writes Johnny a secret admirer letter, which strokes his ego some more and motivates him to go hit on some more redheads. I understand that the main premise of this show is where the shorty's at, so if Johnny were to find a long-term partner, then there would be no Johnny Bravo. But let's put that to the side for a second. I feel as though this episode shows us that Johnny can't be with his dream woman. For Johnny to be with a woman who mirrors him and idolizes herself as much as he does, the relationship would inevitably fail. Relationships require a lot of sacrifice and meeting someone in the middle. Johnny has only felt unconditional love from the two ladies in his life and seemingly expects that from women. Sure, his date with Heather went well, but this is at most a fling and most likely wouldn't have lasted long term even if she wasn't a spy. Johnny spends most episodes avoiding his mom and Susie. He does appear to love them back, but is also clearly annoyed by their love. Who's to say he wouldn't end up acting the same way toward Heather? In the end, she still chose herself over Johnny, which I can't blame her for. I mean, she just met the guy that day. I believe you attract what you are, but what happens when you attract a mirror of yourself and find out that maybe you're not as perfect as you think you are? Maybe the person you've been acting like isn't someone who's able to be in a happy and fulfilling long-term relationship. Sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror to reflect the internal rather than worship the external. The episode, The Time of My Life, starts with Johnny kissing himself in the mirror, which seems to be a part of his daily morning ritual. He hears the ladies giggling at an old picture of him and reminds his mom that he commanded her to never show anyone. What could he be hiding? Johnny says it's best to forget the past and think about the future. Susie points out Sandy Baker, who has hearts around her picture. Johnny tells us that Sandy was his ideal woman at the time. She was so perfect to him and otherworldly. She was humble, ran track, was class president, got straight A's, and even taught orphans how to ski. Johnny has a backstory similar to a lot of young men. He was once a Poindexter pencil neck who felt as though he wasn't good enough for his ideal woman. In one instance, when he was getting picked on by the popular boys, Sandy actually stuck up for Johnny and forced his bully to apologize. Sandy helped Johnny out of the trash can, and from this point, his admiration for her was no longer from afar, but rather up close. She introduces herself and realizes that the two share a class. Sandy even invites him to study together. At the study date, he asks her to prom and she says she would love to go with him and runs away crying tears of joy. Johnny starts to feel imposter syndrome and tries to change himself completely, because why would a girl like her like a guy like him? Even though she did already say yes to Johnny just the way he was. It's almost as if Donny Osmond was correct. As someone with no active father figure, he turned elsewhere for masculine guidance. He listened to the fictional manly men of the 70s who told him to put himself on a pedestal rather than women. Similar advice to what red pillars would tell you. You know, flirt like it's the good old days when women had far less autonomy. He starts his workout journey and goes from skinny to ripped because he now wants to be better. I'm not mad he started working out. I do think it's good to take care of your health, but usually bodybuilders that I meet are more humble and struggle with women. Johnny gets stood up, and this shattered his heart. He never saw her again, not even at school. Johnny believed she was hiding from him and regretted saying yes to a dork's prom invitation. Mama Bravo throws another lob and invites Sandy over. She acknowledges his muscles and Johnny says he put on the weight for her, but gives her the cold shoulder because she broke his teenage heart. Sandy says she didn't even go to prom because the two never had a scheduled date. See, the story actually goes like this. Johnny asked Sandy to prom knowing that she wouldn't be able to go because her family would be moving soon. Heather still loved the gesture and left crying because the act was so emotional for her. It was hard for her to leave the city, and Johnny was the only person to ever ask her to prom. She even kept coming over to say goodbye, but his mom forgot to tell Johnny that part. She doesn't have the best memory. He hits on her again and wants to rekindle an old flame, which Sandy finds flattering. But she's actually married now. Holy fumble. She even has 7 kids. Johnny feels relieved because he hates children. Johnny took a heavy dosage of the red and black pill. While there are parts of these ideologies that are based on a bit of truth, they focus on the wrong things. Yes, the patriarchy does reward hypermasculine men, but do you think these men feel truly happy within themselves? Does a life of putting your feelings on the back burner and peacocking for other people sound like a meaningful existence to you? Have you seen how red pill and black pill content creators act when they meet their fans in public?
Bro.
Honor's mine.
I don't know.
You guys are kind of cringe, bro.
It's just gonna be real, you know.
Alright, y'all have a good one.
Fuck the woman! Fuck the woman!
What?
What have I done?
Don't let these grifters deceive you into thinking that they have the answers to why you can't get a date. Truthfully, you have the answers. The best advice that these guys can give you is surface level stuff. Stay fit, be hygienic, and get a steady income. I believe that these grifters know there is a large amount of young men who feel lost in the world and lack a healthy masculine presence. That's why they go on the internet looking to fill this void. Like, what is the manosphere even about anymore? The second the narrative shifted from building yourself and gaining a connection with a woman to blatant bigotry, you should have left, bro. In the episode, The Sensitive Male, Johnny pulls up flexing and posing for a young lady. She scolds him for thinking women are attracted to the overly macho attitude and sees another man who isn't as physically gifted as him and quieter than him bag the same lady he just got dubbed by. Johnny asks him what kind of sorcery he just pulled on her. He says that women appreciate a man with depth who express their feelings in a sensitive way. The man tells Johnny to try it out and see a woman as more than an object of pleasure. Johnny thinks the guy's speaking a different language and struggles to internalize the man's teachings about empathy, charisma, and sensitivity. He tells Johnny to be observant and talk to a woman about something that matters to her, like her cute dog. This is a good icebreaker to start intelligent conversation with a stranger. He sorta takes his advice, but she's not interested because he starts the conversation with a lustful pickup line before complimenting her pup, and it's the sensitive male who actually scores a date with her. Johnny doesn't understand that being hypermasculine can turn away a lot of women, and that the ladies seem to prefer a guy who's in touch with his feminine side. He suggests that Johnny try engaging in more creative activity like art and baking. Johnny takes the advice too literally and throws on a dress and makeup. This makes the woman's day as she leaves the diner laughing hysterically. He ends up getting a taste of his own medicine and gets hit on by two hyper-masculine guys who like to get beat up. Kinda like him. The sensitive male tells him to be respectful towards women and use manners. He tries to take his advice but just hits her with more lustful dialogue that has some manners sprinkled in. Johnny just doesn't get it, but the sensitive male doesn't give up on him, even though Johnny's given up on himself. It's a bit frustrating seeing Johnny give up after getting rejected all day trying a new dating strategy. He's faced harder rejections being an alpha male, and maybe the advice would work if he truly took it. The sensitive male tells him to keep his eyes on a woman's face, tell her what she wants to hear, and be sincere. The ladies who the sensitive male told Johnny to practice talking to seek revenge and tie him to a pole as they walk off with him. And to be honest, I think this is a lot of you guys' dream scenario. In essence, Johnny already has the confidence and the looks, but not the emotional depth to connect with his chosen woman. If you're like Johnny, I think you should take the sensitive male's advice. Find a hobby, engage in art, and take back control of your life. You can still be a manly man, but you have to be able to navigate your own emotions. I still think that as a man, it's good to be the rock in the relationship, and the woman like the water. Rocks come in all shapes and sizes. They can be shiny, hard, soft, tall, small, but no matter what, it's still a rock. Whereas water can be heated into gas, frozen into ice, and melted into water. Without the dirt, the plant has no way to survive, and without the water, the plant has no way to thrive. Don't let that go over your head because I know you feel what I'm saying. Don't be so extreme in your thinking. The world doesn't operate in black and white. It resides in the gray area.
I remember as a child, a girl, a lamb, Papa smile. I feel a place where two shall go.